How's it going, guys? Welcome to Two Left Thumbs. My name's Graham, and I want to talk to you guys today about a fan cast for a new possible Mortal Kombat movie reboot. Just like a week and a bit ago, there was like this leaked thing saying, here's the cast list of what the new Mortal Kombat reboot is going to be. It's since been debunked. That's not happening. There's still supposedly something in the works. I think James Wan is still attached as a producer, but he's said on Twitter that there's nothing really in the works yet. I grew up watching these movies. I've seen each of them at least a dozen times as a kid. I recently rewatched them just the other night because I had Mortal Kombat on the brain. The first one, in my mind, holds up. Why did no one tell me how bad Annihilation was all these years? That movie sucks. I think I could safely never watch that one again and be fine. The first movie's pretty legit though. It would be hard to find, but I think I could dig up an old Facebook post of mine from 2006 where I was just like, oh man guys, they announced it. New Mortal Kombat movie coming out in 2008, only 2 years away. Can you believe it? Here we are 12 years later and there's still no sign of any of that happening. All of that is just to say that I grew up with the games, I grew up with the movies. I have like my own vested interest in seeing this happen. I very much want this movie to be a thing. I know the title of this is Fancast video, so I'm going to do the Fancast first, and then at the end of it I'll spend a couple minutes talking about like my expectations for this movie, kind of what I hope it might end up being. Keep in mind when I'm putting together this cast, I'm largely working off of actors I've heard of before, so that really limits the pool. I looked up a lot of other fan castings and things that like forums and stuff where people are talking about their favorite martial arts actors. And so I tried to pull from that a lot too, and then I kind of tried to make a mashup of someone who is like a skilled martial artist but also a good actor and then also looks like they would fit the part. I tried to skew things most towards like acting ability and then kind of equal parts martial arts and looks the part. Looks the part is pretty important, but you can always bend that a little bit. You can do some makeup, things like that. Martial arts ability, definitely important, because having nice close-ups of front flips and roundhouse kicks and stuff is awesome. A lot of the time you can make up for that with a good stunt crew. So when I was putting together this list, I wanted to have a nice balance between earthrealm and outworld characters. I tried to keep it realistic for like one movie, so I'm not casting every possible character. I started with the basics, really. Even now it seems like maybe an excessively large cast, but I think it's a good starting point. So kind of the major characters that'll be appearing here, the gods, the god tier characters, we would have Raiden. And actually a really popular fan choice for him was Liam Neeson. And that makes a lot of sense if you're trying to recreate that Christopher Lambert feel. We've all seen what it looks like when Liam Neeson tries to do action scenes at this age. It's not good. I really liked Christopher Lambert as Raiden. The original character is not white. Well, I think that's a fun fan choice. If you wanted someone not white and someone with actual martial arts abilities, I would go with Hoon Lee. I really like the deep, commanding aspect that his voice has. He usually has his head shaved, but he would have the hat on anyways. I think he would be a badass Raiden. I'm very much excited about that choice. Shang Tsung, I really do like the way they took him in a younger direction for the movie. I would do that again. Mostly so that he can actually fight rather than just kind of throw orbs around or whatever Shang Tsung does. A lot of people want Ken Watanabe, and I could see that, I guess, but that's nowhere near my top choice. I also don't think he has any martial arts background. Hiroyuki Sanada would be a really strong choice. He was an awesome martial artist. He's like 57 years old nowadays, so he's pretty old, but I think he can still throw down. He is probably my number one choice, but my most fun choice would be to bring Robin Shou in. Funny thing is he's actually a year older than Hiroyuki, he just doesn't look it. It would be an awesome throwback to the original, like a fun little bit of fan service. Even though I think he kind of disowned Annihilation, I think he legitimately had a lot of passion for those movies. Part of the reason he took the original role was because it was a hero character, which is very uncommon for Asian actors. So this kind of goes back on that, but you know, it's been 20 odd years. Maybe his feelings on that have changed a little bit. If you wanted Shao Kahn, the number one fan choice seems to be Vin Diesel, and I could get on board with that. Very commanding presence, big boisterous voice. But really, I think it would work even better if you brought in someone like some big motherfucker like Aaron Reed. I think Reed has a record for being like the tallest Olympic bodybuilder or something. I don't remember what the exact thing is, but the dude's a monster. I don't know if he can act. If not, I don't know, swap out his voice maybe. That might be a little extreme. But I'm not opposed to having like a body double in there for Shao Kahn, because he should be huge. I think it would be cool if Raiden just kind of chimed in here or there and kind of had his little moments with Shang Tsung, but I think you could change it up and separate it from the original one by having Bo Raichu in there as the like mentor character for Liu Kang. And I mean, if you're gonna have a character whose whole thing is that he's a drunken martial artist, then it has to be Jackie Chan. He doesn't have to be the big fat dude from the games or whatever. You could put him in a bodysuit. I'm sure Jackie wouldn't care. But if you're gonna have a drunken fighter, then it's gotta be Jackie. Let's hammer our way through some Earthrealm characters here. First up, Liu Kang. Number one fan choice seems to be the entertainer Rain, which is funny because that's a Mortal Kombat character. Now, I don't know Rain at all, but I think he looks a little too baby-faced for me. Ludi Lin could work if you want to go a little bit younger, but I think Daniel Henney could give the character the gravitas that he needs. You know, he spent the better part of his life training to become this ultimate physical weapon, and now he just needs that final push in this tournament to prove himself in. So I think having him be that little bit older would help. For Johnny Cage, a lot of people want Matt Mullins, who was used in both that original Rebirth video and only season 1 of Legacy, and for some reason he was recast. I guess that fits Johnny being like a diva Hollywood guy. The actors never stick around for more than one installment of anything. Excellent martial artist, looks like a bit of a movie star. I think he would still be a good choice. I would almost lean more towards Christian Howard. This guy looks a little bit like Tom Cruise in the right angle, which is exactly what you want. You want him to look like a movie star. I haven't seen a lot of his acting. I don't know if he could pull off the cocky swagger adequately, but I would go between one of those two guys. Lyndon Ashby, I love you, man. You had it down pat. Sonya Blade, one of the many characters who was recast across the two original movies there. I think she had the right like attitude in the first movie and then the right sexy side in the second movie. I don't know if either of them was really like a perfect fit for the role, but they both were quite good. My heart would want to pick Emily Blunt, side with the most common fan choice that I saw. I love Emily Blunt, put her in everything, but I think my number one pick has got to be Amy Johnston. She is an ultimate badass, super qualified stunt woman and just kicks ass all around. She's taken part in a lot of fan films and stuff, playing like an android from Dragon Ball Z or Harley Quinn. I don't think she's really had that breakout role. I think something like this would be really cool for her. Jax is tough for me. Most people want to cast Michael Jai White. He was supposed to be the character back, like way back when in the original movies. I forget the circumstances of why not. He eventually got to play him in Legacy. I originally tried to come up with a list of people who I thought would work maybe instead of Michael Jai White, but the guy's actually in as good of shape, if not better, than he has been in the last like 20 years. I say yeah, keep him in there. I'm not even going to bother coming up with anyone else. Kung Lao is another tough one. People came up with a lot of good choices for this one actually. Byron Mann, Will Yun Lee. I would be okay with either of those really. I even saw a couple that said to use Iko Uwe, the guy from the Raid. I could see that. You kinda are like race bending a little bit there, but that might be a good place for him. I would like to see him in the movie somewhere, I'm just not sure where. I think my number one choice would have to be Donnie Yen, because again, I really want Donnie Yen in this movie, and there, I think that'll do it. That'll be a good fit for him. Nightwolf. Everyone wants Jason Momoa. Well, I can appreciate that Jason Momoa is a big guy and does look a little bit like Nightwolf. I'd prefer that we do cast a Native American actor instead. If you wanted to go a little bit older, I think you could go with Chasky Spencer. He could maybe fit, but I do like Martin Sensmeyer. I could see him fitting quite well. He'd be a little bit on the younger side compared to maybe what we're used to seeing for Nightwolf, but I think he would do a great job. Kenshi, a lot of people were picking actors who are strictly known for their martial arts, and I wouldn't entirely know them. So I kind of tried to go off of that, but kind of tried to pick my own. I think my number one choice would be Daniel Wu. Seeing what he does in Badlands, he's a super badass. I could see him really like commanding a scene, even though you're not looking him in the eyes or anything. He would just hold a badass stance, and you'd be like, oh, you don't want to fuck with this guy. And a fun cast for this one, not my choice at all, would be Keanu Reeves. The guy just likes martial arts and likes being involved in martial arts projects. I wouldn't actually put him in the movie. I think it's just fun to picture him in that role. Stryker is a character that I feel like I don't know a ton about, but he can have a minor presence in there somewhere. The number one choice seems to be Tomo Pennikit. Other people said Eric Jacobus. They actually played the character already in Season 1 and 2 of Legacy respectively. I think Jacobus has the stronger martial arts background, but I think I like Tomo more as an actor. But I would still overall lean to Elaine Musey. He's a big dude, does great stunt work, he's got that look of like, don't fuck with me. Alright, next up, the Outworld characters for this movie. Scorpion, my personal favorite. Well, he's not the most dynamic character. The films never did anything more with him than undead specter who hates Sub-Zero. I'd like to see just a bit more screen time dedicated to him as an actual character. Suckers! I think Ian Anthony Dale was a really great choice. Pretty much every fan cast says to just bring him back. If they wanted to try out something a little bit different, go for an actor to add a real seriousness to the role, I really like Byung-Hoon Lee. Overall, Ian Anthony Dale probably deserves another shot to really expand on what he had done with the character. Next, Sub-Zero. A lot of people wanted to cast Daniel Henne in this role, but I kind of co-opted that and made him my Liu Kang instead. Now the funny thing is that I took Daniel Henne and made him Liu Kang. Brian T originally played Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Legacy. I think I would flip him over and make him Sub-Zero. If you were going to do that though, you got to make sure you flesh out Sub-Zero a little bit. It would be a little bit of a waste to take a talented actor like Brian and throw him into a character that doesn't have any lines. Short of giving Scorpion and Sub-Zero their own spin-off movie, which I'm totally not opposed to, it's hard to dedicate enough screen time to these guys to really flesh them out. Realistically, for characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you could just have a stuntman there and give them no lines. That's one way to do it. I'm basing this on if they choose to flesh the characters out a little bit more. For Reptile, there was basically one choice across the board, and that was Ray Park. I actually got kind of mad when I saw this because I thought the reason was that everyone was fan casting him because he had played Toad before, and I thought everyone was like, he's good at playing reptilian amphibious characters. But before I just went into a blind rage, I did try to look the guy up a little bit. We would also know him from playing Darth Maul, and he was actually the stand-in for James Remar when he played Raiden in Annihilation. So he's got some Mortal Kombat experience, he's got a lot of stunt work experience, he's a talented martial artist. I think it would be cool to bring him back and give him a more significant part, make him a character rather than just a stand-in. Kano. This is like one of the more well-defined characters on the Outworld side. I really do like Kano. He's a cool character. There's so many different ways you could go with this. The two most common I came across were Manu Bennett and Frank Grillo. I think I would prefer Bennett over Grillo in this instance, but I could see either of them. The interesting thing is they kind of look alike in these photos, so people clearly have something very particular in mind for what they want from Kano. One like extra creative choice I saw was Silvio Simac. The dude's huge, he was like a world champion in Taekwondo. No idea on the acting ability, but I thought A for effort on the choice though. I do like the creativity on that one. There's Bren Foster. He's actually Australian. Dude's got like several black belts in like many different types of martial arts. He's insane. I think he might be my top choice. This would be a bit of a stretch, but you could almost bring back Trevor Goddard. The character would have to be played a little bit older, but I read a thing that said that the character wasn't originally Australian. He came up with that. He's not Australian himself, but he did such a good job with the character that they retconned it in future games to just follow his example. So I think that would be pretty cool and kind of funny. That's another one of those fun casts, though. I think Bren Foster is my top pick. Now for Kitana and Melina, they are supposed to be twins, but one is like the demonized version, so I think it makes the most sense to just cast one person for both. The number one pick seems to be Samantha Joe. She actually already played the character in Legacy as well. I do like her as a pick. I think that one would work really, really well. She has plenty of experience with stunts, but I think she also has quite a bit of experience acting, so that goes a long way. Because my other pick was Christine Adabi. Honestly, I think she has a little bit more of like that seductress feel, but she also seems like she could like go buck wild when she's playing the Melina side of things. She doesn't have a ton of credits to her name when it comes to acting, so I would tend to lean more towards Samantha, but I would be okay with either one of those. I know I introduced Kitana and Melina together on the Outworld side of things, but Kitana should defect over to Earthrealm, and if you do a final tally of characters, I based my number of characters on that, so there should still be an even number on both sides. If you want to round out the femme fatales and include Jade as well, I saw quite a few people pick Sophia Butella, and I don't mind that choice, but maybe not exactly what I'm looking for. I would like to see Caitlin Deschelle. I think she strongly has the look to match what I think of for Jade, and she just has an outstanding martial arts track record. These last couple are kind of toss-ups here. Baraka, you could literally have any stunt person in makeup, it doesn't really matter. But if you put in someone like Spencer Wilding, he has a history as like a kickboxer and a boxer, I think. But he's also like 6'6". I don't know if Baraka is traditionally massive like that, but I think it would be really fun to have like a crazy massive dude like that. And then for Goro, my like one and only choice there is Nathan Jones. Now he's 6'11". He's a fucking freak. Sorry, but he's just fucking huge. I kind of liked him as Rictus in Mad Max Fury Road. The character is a bit of like a dum-dum or whatever, so I don't know if it required a ton of acting, but he pulled it off. Goro was probably not the brightest bulb in the shed. I think he would do fine. So there you have it. There's my rounded out cast for this movie. I think I'm quite happy with my top picks there. As fun as like Mortal Kombat Rebirth was, I don't want a grounded, gritty telling of this. It's over the top, it's ridiculous. There's magic, there's unrealistic, non-physics based kung fu going on. It should go without saying that this needs to be R-rated. The story from the games is fine. I don't need a lot of filler. The movie did it pretty good. It's 5 to 10 minutes of like set pieces at most, and then an action scene. Aside from being like PG-13, they had something pretty cool there. And I still maintain that it's incredibly well cast. Maybe not wall to wall, but these people were all cast very well. Like, perfect. In the movie, like, Liu Kang only has a fireball that he uses once, and he does his bicycle kick like once. Johnny uses his shadow kick once. That's because they're like learning their powers. They don't really think that they're badasses yet. I don't really know what approach the movie should take, whether or not they're established mystical warriors or not. Has anyone ever put together an actual chart of a Mortal Kombat tournament that has made any sort of sense? The game has the pillar style thing, but that doesn't fucking make sense because that just means everyone got a buy on the way up. If you tried to do it like March Madness or whatever, with everyone starting in like the 64 or whatever spaces on the side. So you have earthrealm versus outworld, and then earthrealm moves on. But then if earthrealm moves on, then they end up fighting each other. I guess it should just be like 11 pairings of fights or something like that, and whoever has the highest overall win total from that? I don't know. I do not have a good system in mind for how they would explain how the hell this tournament actually operates. Just do Hunger Games style. Everyone just gets tossed in random crazy worlds and then they just kill each other for 90 minutes. I don't care about the story. I just want the fight choreography to be like top notch. And obviously a director who's good at working with action sequences and stuff would be important, but I think having a good stunt team and good fight choreographers would go a lot further. Hell, hire the team from The Raid. There's awesome group scenes and one-on-one scenes in that. I didn't mean that to sound so sexual. One interesting fact I read about the original movie was that the first like few days of filming or whatever, the fight scenes were taking really long times to film. They were doing these big wide shots where the entire fight was on camera. The actors, the stuntmen, everyone was getting really exhausted because it wasn't looking exactly perfect the way they needed it to in a nice wide angle. It was Robin Shou, the guy who plays Liu Kang, who stepped into the director and was just like, the way you normally film a fight scene, wide angles for like one or two motions, get in for like close-ups for the nice quick cutaways of landing the big hits and stuff like that. So he really guided it, and things went a lot smoother after that. They then screened the movie to test audiences. They said there wasn't enough fighting. They went and did massive reshoots where they added the Scorpion's lair fight scene, which is like the coolest thing in the entire movie, and the Liu Kang versus Reptile fight scene, which is another super cool thing in the movie. And for those two scenes, the original fight choreographer wasn't even available. That was entirely Robin, and those turned out like some of the best. So what I'm getting at there is that it's really cool that someone who really knows how to film a good martial arts scene can guide a director. So the directors should fit the project, but they aren't my primary focus when deciding how this movie should really be put together. I still love the soundtrack of the original movie. If that original theme song isn't in there somewhere, at least like mildly remixed or updated, I'll be very disappointed. Should bring in someone like Junkie XL. I know he's kind of all over the place these days, but he has loads of energy in his music. And I think he could put together a really fun soundtrack that would make like awesome pump up music whenever you're going to like the gym or something like that. So what are the main things that I have here? R-rated. Probably like mid to low budget. Don't go for 150 million because you're not going to make your money back. Serviceable plot. I'm not too worried about it. Well cast. That's always important. Cool soundtrack would just be fun. Almost like one of the most important things, putting together the most qualified stunt team and fight choreography team. Give me all of that, and this will be my new favorite martial arts movie of all time, and I'll continue watching it along with the original Mortal Kombat a million times over while I pretend Annihilation never happened. That's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to take in. I hope I covered everything that I had in mind. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'd very much like to know what you guys think about the movie as a whole. That we can talk about the old movies a little bit, but mostly, do you want a new movie? If so, what do you want from it? Do you kind of agree with my little list of main points there? Is there anything you'd take away or add to that? And then most of all, let's talk about the cast. I want to know what you guys thought of my picks and what your own picks would be. I've been on just this crazy Mortal Kombat kick ever since that announcement, even though it ended up being fake, and so I actually recently just started playing Mortal Kombat 9 here on the channel, which I had never played prior to that. And I'm doing a very abridged, heavily edited version of it because I'm not that great at the game, so I'm just trying to keep the jokes flowing, keep things light and fresh. I think it's coming together really well. I'm very excited about it. That'll be in the end cards at the end here. I'll link to some other fan castings I've done for MCU-related content, and I'll also have a link to a Patreon page in case you guys have enjoyed this video, would like to see more content like this, or generally support the channel. I would very much appreciate that. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you again soon.